I'm Tim.
And I'm Marco.
I'm Aaron.
I'm Kenny.
We are the motorcycle gang, Sugarcult.
Can you tell me a little bit about playing for a LA audience as opposed to playing anywhere else?
One of the stops on like one of our tours was here playing at LA, and it was like at a new theater. We hadn't played there before, and it was one of those like, oh, let's invite all of our friends. We're so proud to play our show, and like 7 people showed up, and the I can't remember who it was, whether it was you or the promoter or somebody. Was it you? And it was the reason why only 7 people showed up instead of like 70,000 knocking down the door was because the last episode of Friends was playing. So whenever we have like kind of a janky show, we always say, oh, well, it's because they're like rerunning the last episode of Friends. So
You've said that pop culture brings temporary happiness, but it's ultimately self-destructive. How so? How do you keep from self-destructing, especially in a city like LA that is so obsessed with celebrity culture?
I hate having to defend things when I'm high on meth. That's like one of those weird things, you know what I mean? Like someone quotes something you said once when you were driving around with like the top down, high on cocaine, driving 90 down the 405. So I disagree. I don't even know how to respond.
Okay, so what would you then say about pop culture and celebrity culture? Does it bring long-term
it's kind of
happiness?
it's a placebo effect, you know? It's kind of like taking a Flintstones vitamin when you've got pneumonia. You know what I mean? People kind of get obsessed with, you know, that their life is kind of empty, and when they read about Nicole Richie, it makes them feel better about themselves. You know? Because they're kind of maybe living vicariously through Lindsay Lohan's moves and what she wore to the event. So we were maybe making a comment about that. And that's kind of an analogy, you know, like someone who's really hungry and they eat a candy bar instead of eating a meal. Someone who's really bummed out and they get wasted instead of deal with their problems. You know, someone who's really lonely and they go get a lap dance.
Pop culture is something that you can either choose to be a part of it. And on an all serious note, I mean, I think right now we're at this kind of stage, especially in American culture. If you kind of look around at it, there's more of these kind of like E.T. magazines and shows than ever been, and I think it's something that the British have really been used to for a long time, these tabloid magazines. So right now I think there's this turn, and we've kind of talked about a little bit before how it seems more than ever there's been this like celebration of just the idea of celebrity for I don't know what reason, you know. So I kind of dig deep and think, you know, some people that quote unquote are getting attention or famous, seems like it's on the merit or basis of just they're being famous for the sake of famous, like famous for losing weight or famous for doing something fucking asinine and obnoxious, you know. It's not because, hey, this person is a really good actor and was in a really good moving movie, or this person put out a great record and they're obviously they're getting some press time and notoriety, so they're using that as a platform to do something, you know, good with their celebrity. It's really the reason why we got into music in the first place, is to avoid popularity contests. And, you know, I kind of was raised growing up as a kid, you know, whenever I'd feel frustrated or felt like a bit awkward, I always felt like music was this vehicle to take me to this place where I never had to really worry about that shit. And then, you know, I choose to not participate in it because I think people really do. I think people participate in this popularity contest, which is really no different. The only difference is it's way more fucking powerful, and people have millions of dollars to put behind some of these personalities. So I think we choose to kind of ignore it. We find it silly and kind of shallow.
You said you're trying to say something and speak to the community. Do you think that what you've been trying to say has evolved over the years?
Well, we're just doing our thing, you know. We had an interview the other day where they were asking us like how political we are. We're much more about just doing our music, you know. This being in a band for us isn't like a platform or a soapbox or a means to an end. It's not like, okay, we need to be in a band so that we can spread our gospel. You know, it's like you don't have to dress like us to like us. You don't have to sound like us to go on tour with us. You know, we're much more about just kind of like, here's our thing. This is the music we make. These are the songs we write, and we're just trying to get better and better at doing what we do every record. we're not trying to be the voice of a generation or something like that. We're just being the best band we can be.
When you write songs, are you conscious of the possible way the lyrics will be interpreted? Or do you want people to know the meaning or derive their own? Which I think is a really good question, because I often wonder whether what I think is the answer is actually like the answer that the song is sort of motivation.
Well, I mean, you try to make the lyrics as best, obviously, as they can possibly be, or close to what maybe your intention is, as close as it can be, and then you lay it down. That's not to say that every single word is the only word that could fit or drive home that idea. And then, once you put it out there, it is really up to how someone else interprets it.
You put it out one way, and it's really out of your control at that point. Once the record is shrink wrapped and in stores, it's completely out of your control. It's people who buy the record. That's more important, what they're taking from it, whether it's something they just want to put on a Saturday night to get stoked before they go out with their friends, or if it's something they're putting on when they're trying to decide whether to break up with their boyfriend or girlfriend, or whether they are really depressed and your record's kind of their hand to hold on to. I mean, we get all extremes when people come up to us and say, thank you so much, your record really helped me through a tough time, or people just going, fuck yeah, your record's awesome, dude. It's a rad guitar solo.
That's when we laugh and tell them we did it in 3 minutes.
Yeah.